What's up guys, and in today's video we're going to show you how to make some cool faces for your new Pixel watch. Stay tuned and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't, and without further ado, let's just get into it. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go ahead and actually do some kind of pre-set up before we can actually start doing this. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go over to your Google Pixel watch and you want to scroll down to your settings, right? So I'm going to go down to settings and let me see if I can try and do it here. Let it focus. There we go. Perfect. So go down to your settings and you want to scroll all the way down until you get to system. Click on system. Oh, let it focus. Perfect. And with system, go all the way down. Make sure you guys can see it. And you want to, where is it? Focus. There we go. You want to go to the about. Scroll down. Go to about. And then when you see the where Google about information, just basically go down to versions. Click on that, and then you want to just basically click multiple times onto the build number, but then obviously it will tell you that you, or for me it tells me that I'm already a developer, so it doesn't matter. And then you want to go back to settings, and then you now have, if you go back to settings, where is it? Now underneath settings you have a new option called developer options. Now inside developer options, click that. You want to scroll down to where it says ADB debugging. You want to turn that on, and then you want to scroll down and you want to see debug over Wi-Fi. You want to make sure that that's turned on as well, and that's it. So that's all we got to do for the watch. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to go over to the internet and you want to download the software. So let's jump into the PC and I'll show you what I mean. So you can see here I've gone into Samsung's developers, and what you need to do is you need to download Samsung's Watch Face Studio, right? Download that, click on download on the left hand side. Once that loads up, just download the version. Obviously it's available for Mac and it's available for PC. I'm on a Windows, so I'm going to download my Win 1.2.7, or if you want you can download the 1.38. Now the 1.38 actually has a new feature which I quite like, which is the themes feature, which allows you to have 3 different colors per style. So I've gone ahead and downloaded the beta version, which is 1.38. Now depending on when you're watching this video, it might already be the actual stable release, but I'm going to download that and then I'm going to go ahead and install it, right? I agree, and then I'm going to go ahead and install it. Once it's installed, what you'll see is if you run the software, this is exactly what you'll see, right? It's just some sample project files that you can go ahead and open, but we're not going to do that. We're going to design our own one because that's what we're here for. We're creatives. So let's just jump into Illustrator and actually design our own face. So I'm clicked on new document. I've set the document to 450 by 450. I'm going to create the file. Once that's loaded up, I'm going to do one thing first to kind of get myself set up, and that's to basically create the bounding box for the actual watch. So I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to fill it with the entire artboard because I want the background to be black. So go ahead and do that, stretch it out, and then I'm just going to invert the colors so that the black is in the background, and I don't need the white strokes, so I'm just going to remove the white stroke. Now that that's done, I'm going to create a circle. I'm just going to click inside the middle, and I'm going to change the dimensions to 450 by 450 because we know that's what the document size is. And then we're going to go ahead and center align the whole thing. Now I want the border to be white. I don't need a fill color. Just going to click on white, and then you can see now we have a nice border radius, so we know where the framework, all our artwork's got to fit in. So I'm going to lock this layer and I'm going to make a new layer which I'm going to work on. Now I want a really simple, easy design, maybe something like analog, but at the same time maybe similar to like a sports mode, which I think the iPhone watch or the iOS watch has. So I'm going to create a circle. I'm going to stretch it just above the actual border, and I'm going to go into my stroke options here. I'm going to make sure that my align stroke is in the center and the corners are circular, it really doesn't matter, but the corners are rounded. Now we're going to go ahead and add a gradient. So we've got our gradient, so we can go ahead and select that there. But the way that I like to do it is click on the stroke and click on any gradient, which this is the one, or I'm going to click the black to white one, for example. So once I've done that, you probably won't be able to see much, so let's put our stroke up a little bit more. So let's say maybe 60 points, okay? Now obviously you can see it's gone above, but that's not to worry. So go back into my color options and hit the gradient options there. Once I've got my gradient options, this is what you have here. Now you can see the gradient that I want to select. Let me just make sure that you can see that the gradient I want to select is going to be linear. Once I've selected linear, you can see it's filled the inside. So you've got to be careful depending on what color box is in the foreground. So I'm just going to Control Z that, and I want to make sure that the stroke outline is the one that's at the front. So then I want to click on linear. And then I want this one. I want the gradient along the stroke. So you can see it creates this nice kind of angular gradient for me. And while that's done, I'm going to rotate the entire circle 90 degrees counterclockwise so that it starts at the 12 o'clock section. Once that's done, I'm going to size down the gradient, or the circle, sorry, so just so that it fits inside the actual borders of. Perfect. So you can see it fits just about inside the actual guidelines that we had set already. Size down a little bit. Perfect. Awesome. You know what? We can size it up just a little bit more. Brilliant. So now that we have that, this will be considered our second hand, right? The seconds that go onto your clock. So I'm going to duplicate that, Control-Shift-V, so that we paste it in place. And I'm going to size it down so that the circle is where the gap is. Right, there we go. I'm going to Control-V, Control-Shift-V, Copy it and Control-Shift-V again to do the same thing, but this time we're doing it with our hour clock. Now, it looks like it's just one giant kind of pie-shaped circle, but in reality, obviously, what we have is, if I rotate this, where is it? If I rotate this, you can see that we have different shapes starting at different places. The only reason why we have to start it at the 12 o'clock mark is because the studio the system, or the watch face program, will actually animate it from there. So I just want to size it down just a little bit, and this a little bit more, so we can see a little bit more of the second hand, and then size this down a little bit more. Now the thing that I want to do is I want to fix the colors, right? Right now it goes from white to black, and I don't want that. So let me just fix the rotation so that everything starts from the 12 o'clock. We do 90, and then do the same thing for the minutes. 90, perfect. So let's start with the hour one. And we go over to our gradient options. If it's still not open, just make sure you click on gradient, and obviously gradient options, then it'll pop up. Once we have that there, I'm going to make the black into white, but the difference here is I'm going to set the opacity to 0. And then all you want to do is make sure we do the same thing for the other one. So set it to white, but set the opacity to 0. And we do it for the last one. Set the black, oh, we've added a new gradient, we don't want that. So set the black to white and set the opacity to 0. So you can see how some of them overlap, and I quite like that overlap look, right? So I'm going to select the minute hand, maybe let it overlap a little bit, and then we're going to do the same thing with the hour hand. I want it overlapping the minutes just a little bit, so you can see that white bit is where the two layers overlap. So now that that's done, I want to do maybe one more thing. I maybe want to add a drop shadow. So we'll go to the effects folder and then drop shadow. I'm going to set the X to 0, Y to 0, and then the blur, I don't know, let's make it 40. Click OK, and we want to duplicate that basically on the other two, right? So we want to select the, open up our layers, or we want to select the minutes. We want to do the same thing, effects, stylize, drop shadow. Now Illustrator is going to remember your settings, so you don't have to worry too much about remembering what the settings are. And then we'll do that for the last one. Go to FX, stylize, and then drop shadow. Perfect. So now that we have the stylized for all the items, what we want to do is, what else do we want to add? Maybe we might want to add some sort of a heartbeat or a battery, one kind of what they refer to as complications in here. So I'm going to put a percentage here, which is going to be the battery for now. And we're going to change the fill to white. And then we can obviously also play around with the font and styling options inside of Watch Face Studio, so we don't have to worry too much about what we're going to do there now. I just want to make sure I lay out all the graphics that I need to do. Now, I'm not going to have any minutes, seconds, and hour hands because I want the graphics to actually act like that. But what I want to do is I want to add the, I'm not sure what they call them, but the dials on the circle. So I'm going to make a new circle. I'm going to make it 450 by 450. I'm going to centralize that. And then I'm going to remove the gradient stroke and just give it a white stroke. But I don't want it to be that thick, right? So I want it to be very, very tiny. So about 1 pixel wide. And I want the stroke to be on the inside. Okay? So now that that's done, I want to have the actual dials shapes now. Now obviously you can go in and do it manually, but we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get the pen tool and just draw a line. And then we're going to go to Object, and then Repeat, and then Radial. And it's simple as that. So what's Illustrator done for us is created a radial shape. So we're going to centralize that. And we're going to extend the shape so that it fits the bounding boxes, right? So you can see, oh, I'll go back. Where is the radial? And then all we have to do is, if we double click on any of the shapes, double click on it, now we've actually opened up the editing tool for that. So what we all need to do is just find the center and just drag it down. And we're going to do that. So now you can see we have some dials there. Now obviously it's not enough dials in there, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to edit the amount of dials that we have. So select the dial, and currently we have 8, which is obviously, you know, not enough, so we need to do 12. So we have 1 for every single hour, and then we know that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc, etc, etc. Now that we have that, all we need to do is start saving each element as a PNG so that we can bring it inside to Watch Face Studio to do whatever we need to do. So let's do that now. So let's remove a few things. I'm just going to hide the layer of all my design, and I'm going to also remove the hide the background layer because everything's going to be transparent for us anyway. Now let's select the radial and the border, the white border outside. We're going to get the export or the asset export option up, so you can, if you don't have it, just click on Windows, Asset Export, and then we're going to click on the plus sign here, and then it's going to generate the shape for us. Now, what have I done? Just want to make sure that it's actually included the yeah, we just want to make sure that it's included the dials in there. So the next we want to do is we want to select the hour hand, click plus, and I'm going to just make sure that I title this so that I know what they are. This is the dials, and then we select the minute hand, click on the plus, and then we just write minutes, and then the last one we select the seconds hand and click the plus. Now you're probably thinking, why am I not exporting the text and not the battery? Because we can actually add that inside of the studio, Watch Face Studio, so we don't need to worry too much about that. So we're going to export them as PNG, and 1 point scale is more than enough. Click export, and then let's go to desktop, put them here, and then select the folder. Great. So now if we see, we should have our exported assets there. Now if I open up the dial, just make sure it does have all the options that we had there. So now let's open up Watch Face Studio and create a new project. We're just going to call this new, we're going to call this sports mode. Sports mode face. Okay, click OK. Now this by default is the default settings that you'll have for your watch face studio. Now obviously my theme is black, and that's, if you click on the preference option, you can see it's the dark mode. You can obviously have a light mode or just leave it to system, it's entirely up to you, but yours by default will look like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry on like that. So let's start importing some of our elements. So let's go to the plus. We want to import the seconds first. Go to desktop, pixel watch, and the seconds, which is here. And then we want to add the next one, analog hands, minutes, and this is going to be the minutes hand. Next one, we're going to add the hour, which is there. Right now, because it's 450 by 450 in Illustrator, everything just fits in perfectly. And then the last thing we want to add in there is we want to add the where is it, we want to add an image, which is going to be our dials, right? Because obviously the dials have to be at the front. So now that that's done, let's add the battery, or one of the things that you can actually add, which they call it's called complications. So what we can do is hit the plus, and then we can add a short complication, and you can see it's added it into the center. Now a really interesting thing to note is on the right hand side you can actually see what the watch looks like as you're working on. So if I click on the compilations on the left hand layers, and I want this to show the watch battery. Now if I say it's fixed, what happens is we won't be able to change it on the watch, right? But if I leave it as editable, I can change it from battery watch to, I don't know, the heartbeat rate, or a calendar or a notification. You can change it to anything you want, and that's what we want to do. So we're going to leave it as editable, but for the sake of display we want to keep it default by having the watch. Now I don't want icon, text and title, I just want icon and text. So if I hit the plus button here on the layout, and I just click icon and text, and then I can remove the icon, text and title, because I don't need that, I don't want that. So now let's style this, and like I said, you can see it here, right? So let's click on the text. Let's say I want this to be a Montserrat bold. Now you can add your own fonts in there, which is very interesting. But for now, we're just going to click on Montserrat bold and maybe make this into 60 pixels, which hopefully won't be too big. Just want to make sure that where is it? The text. I just want to make sure that it's all sized up correctly. There you go, because I want the text of the battery to fit inside of the actual gap in the middle. Now 60 is a little bit big, so maybe 50 might be. Let's go 40, because I'm looking at the right hand side as I'm designing. And then the icon, I want it to be bigger. Now you can hold the shift key to make sure that it's correctly proportioned. Maybe it's a bit too big, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Now select them both holding the shift key, and I want to center align them both, right? And then if I select the entire complications group and I centralize that, it puts it into the middle. So far so great, right? We have everything. Now an interesting thing is if you see the timeline here and I drag it, you can see how it's moving to show me what kind of time it is. So if I click on play, it's going to show me what each one's doing. Now you can see the seconds is skipping for every second, right? I don't want that, because that feels more like an analog style. I want it to kind of nice and sweep. So if I select my seconds, and on the right hand side under movement, you can see under normal, click on sweep. So now you can see it nice and sweep, which is a better animation, I think. So what do we have left to do? How about some color, right? The white seems to be a little bit dull, so why don't we add some color into this? So the best way to do that is, if you go into the style and you see the color theme palette here, you can click on plus, and then you can start picking any color that you'd like. So I'm going to click on blue for now. Now if you didn't download the beta, the 1.38 version, you will only have one color option. This is why for now, at the time of recording this, the 1.38 is the beta version, but hopefully by the time, sooner or later, it will become a stable version. You can actually select multiple colors. So let's say I want to pick my second color to be pink, and then my last color maybe a nice little orange or something, right? So you've got the theme color here, but nothing's happening, like nothing is taking effect. So I'll show you how to do this. If we click on the hour on the left hand side and then go back to properties, you can see the option here under color. You've got this checkbox which says apply theme color. So if I click on that, you can automatically see what it's done. It's applied the blue, which is the first color of our theme. You can select the second color, you can select the third color. It's entirely up to you, but I'm going to keep it as the first color. And then we go to the minutes, and then the same thing under color, click on that. But with the second one, we want the minutes to have the second color. Click on that, and then we'll do the same thing with the last one for the seconds, and then we want that to have the third color. So you can see already here at the top, you've already got a nice little multicolor system going on there, which is quite interesting. The good thing about this is you can go ahead and click on style and add a lot more colors. So let's say I want now a nice green, it's very bright green. Click OK, and if I click on the theme color options here, it applies the green. Now bear in mind, remember, the second color, the third color, if changed, will also change. So if I select it, you can see how it's updated it on the right hand side. So maybe we'll select a nice little blue, teal there, and then for the seconds, I don't know, maybe we'll pick like a nice little just bright orange there, right? So you can see how they're nice and kind of layered on top of each other. And the good thing about it is, in your actual watch, people can actually select what color version they want. And that's the good thing, right? So if you give them more options, so let's say maybe this one is going to be a complete red. So you can see that's a complete red. And then maybe if we add another one, maybe a complete blue. And then if they select that, you can select a complete blue. So they can select this on the actual watch itself. So be creative, come up with different color combinations as such. Now I'm going to show you maybe one more thing, is how to maybe change the colors of the icons, right? So let's say, for example, you want to change the color of the text. So select the text, and under properties, same thing here, you can apply the color theme, right? And you can do this for absolutely any part of the entire watch face. You can apply any of the colors and it will go through the color themes and it will apply it to them. So you can see if I go back to color 1, the seconds is the same color as the watch face, right? So let's leave it like that. Now, how do I get that design into the watch, right? That's what you're asking. So I'll show you how to do it. On the top right hand side, you've got run on device. Click that, and what the software is going to do is it's going to check whether you have too many colors on the display versus the always on one. Now, once you've clicked on that and you can't see your actual phone, your watch, what you need to do, go back to your watch. Let me just take this off again. And then you want to go back to, let me just unlock it. You're going to get this option. There we go. So you're going to see this allow debugging option, and you just want to make sure you click OK on that. And once you've clicked OK, if you look at the screen, you see your Google Pixel Watch. Now, sometimes some people have complained that once that they do that, it doesn't actually display onto your connected devices. And what you want to do is you want to head over to your connectivity. You want to head over to the Wi-Fi, and then inside your Wi-Fi, you want to make sure that you get the IP address, right? And then when you get the IP address, you click on plus, and then you write the IP address inside this box, and then click OK, and then the watch should appear. If it doesn't, just do let me know in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to help. So now that we have the Google Watch displayed there, we just go ahead and click it, give it a few seconds. Now, where is it? Let me go back. So you can see this is currently my display, right? Give it a couple of seconds. What it will do is once it's ready, it's going to disappear. And then once it disappears, it's going to change into the new face. And there you go, right? So you can see that there. You got your brand new face onto your Pixel Watch. And the good thing about it is, like I said earlier on, let me get there, zoom in again. Right, now if I hold the middle, yep, you can see that you get the options to customize, right? And then if I want to click onto, what is it, zoom, there you go. Kind of weird doing it backwards, but Okay, and then you can see here you've got all your color options that people can select, right? So if you scroll through it, there you go, if you can scroll through it, and then also if you swipe, let me see if I'm swiping correctly, swipe to the other side, and then you can see that the complication you can also edit, right? So if I click onto the middle, it's kind of weird having to do this back to front, but if you click on allow, and then you can select any of the options, right? Oh, where is it? Any of the options. So let's say I want to select heart rate, right? So I click on heart rate, and then it will give me the heart rate option, and then I click OK, and that's it. It will change into the heart rate. That's it, right? That's as simple as that. Now, you can obviously do as many designs as you want, and you don't have to worry about going into any Google stores to get your own designs, and then having to use someone else's design. So be creative. There is a lot of features which I haven't even touched upon, things like animation as such. Maybe we'll do that in a future video. Let me know if you want to see how to animate things onto your Pixel Watch. But yeah, hopefully you really enjoyed that. If I've missed anything or you have any questions, just put it down in the comment section below. My name is Khalid Mani, and yeah, if you want more videos, be sure to check out some of the end cards, and until the next time, I'll see you then. Peace.